Hello students, a very warm welcome to all of you to mobile computing and wireless communication subject. So today we want to cover this particular criteria of analog data to digital signal. This is one of the most important modulation technique. So basically, even though I have covered this pulse code modulation during the class hours, I'm going to actually take out both the techniques in today's lecture. So if you have problem with any problem with during the class hours, you can definitely go through this video and you will come to know what is going on, right? So this is one of the important aspect that we want to cover, where we are going to see analog data. We want to convert this analog data into the digital signal. This is one of the important modulation technique, as I have already mentioned, right? So basic idea behind this is we want to convert analog data into digital data, and then we already know how to send digital data over the digital signal. We have seen so many different technique for sending digital data over the digital signal. So we are not going into that part, but what we need is we want to convert analog data into the digital data, right? And for that purpose we are going to use this two technique which is there, or which is going to be implemented in a codec. So what is codec? Basically codec is a device used for converting analog data into digital form for transmission and recovering back the original data from the digital, right? So it is a two-way process, so that's why the name codec has came up, which is there for coder and decoder. So you are just going to perform coder at transmitter side and you are going to perform decoder circuit at the receiver end. So that is the main idea behind this, and the two techniques which we are going to use for the same purpose, we are going to use pulse code modulation and delta modulation. So these are the two basic technique we need to see, and they are very much easy to understand. So basically as I have told you, our goal is to convert this analog data into digital data, and then whatever digital data has been created, we can use the technique which through which we can send data over the digital signal, right? So let me start with PCM. So we'll briefly describe what is PCM, then we'll go for the delta modulation, right? So as I have told you, that very first step, let's see the steps, and then we will go for the basic theorem behind the sampling. So these are the three steps involved. These are the three basic steps involved in any PCM technique. So very first thing, you are going to take samples. Second thing, you are going to quantizing the thing, and at the end you are going to perform the encoding, right? So these are the three steps by using which you can transmit your analog signal into the digital stream, as you can see here. So here is your analog signal which is being transferred into the block of digital data stream, or 1 or 0, right? So these are the three basic steps. We have also added one more additional step before we go for sampling. If you want to eliminate very high frequency values from your original signal, you need to pass that signal through this low pass filter. So this is an additional kind of step you can understand, but the major steps, they are going to be only this three. So in any case we are going to apply this thing, and the same step we are going to follow even in the delta modulation also. So if you understand what is sampling, quantizing and encoding in this PCM, it will be quite easy to understand them in delta modulation. Just the technique is different, but steps we are going to follow the same, right? So let us quickly see all these three steps, what they are doing. So basically this is going to be your analog signal which you want to transmit, right? So this is your original data. Now let's say you are speaking on a phone, so you are generating voice signals. So as we already know that voice signal is nothing but an analog signal. So there will be a encoding circuit which is available in your phone, which is going to convert this analog signal, whatever voice signal you have generated, it will be getting converted into this one binary form, right? So that is a very important aspect we need to understand, because we are daily using this. Whenever we are talking, we are always these things are happening. So let's see all these three steps in a brief, and then we'll take one example of PCM so that it will be very much clear to all of you, right? So as I have told you, this is your analog signal. If you want to remove some very high frequency values from your signal, you are just going to go, or you are just going to pass this signal through this low pass filter before you go and do the sampling criteria. So that is going to be the optional step you are going to perform. So now let us see what are the basic steps. So analog signal, now it is being passing through the sampling signal. Alright, so this is the first process you need to perform. So as you can see here, sampling is going to be like this. So we are just going to divide the whole signal into all these vertical lines. So these are the samples. Now if you can understand, we have kept some spaces in between these two samples, right? So this is sample and after a certain period of time, because this is amplitude versus time criteria. So this is going to be y-axis is amplitude, x-axis is going to represent the time value. So between the two samples we are keeping a particular time period, so that we are taking each and every sample at particular amount of time, that is TS time, right? So as you can see here, we have left over some spaces between the two samples. So this is the important aspect of sampling. So this is how you can take samples in vertical form. Now this is important, sampling rate is completely depend upon the application where PCM is going to be used. So basically sampling rate, they are not actually predefined that you can take only 5000 hertz. So what do you mean by 5000 hertz of sampling rate? A sampling rate can also be described in hertz, as we are describing them in frequency. So in sampling rate, if I am saying that sampling rate is of 1 hertz, so what do I mean by that? I am taking only one sample a second, right? So I am taking only one cycle, I'm just taking one sample per second. That is what we mean by sampling rate. So as I have mentioned, that sampling rate is going to be depending upon the application where you are going to use this PCM criteria. For example, PCM is being used for writing your compact disc. If you are having audio signals, so that can be converted into digital one with the help of this PCM criteria, right? Now if you are talking about simple compact disc, there you will find that sampling rate is going to be very much lower. So generally that sampling rate is around 16,000 hertz. That means within 1 second I am taking 16,000 different samples on a given input signal. Fine. If you are talking about Blu-ray disc, so all of you are aware about the Blu-ray disc. So Blu-ray disc, they are having higher amount of, you can say, higher quality audio signals need to be transmitted. So at that time this sampling rate will be jumping almost directly to the 1 megahertz of sampling rate. That means you are taking 1 megahertz or 1 into 10 raised to 6 samples per second you are taking. Fine. So as you take more and more samples, you are making sure that at the receiver end we are getting this original signal back into the exact shape. Fine. So this is what this is the process happening at the transmitter. So this is the original signal which is being converted into stream of ones and zeros. Now receiver is going to receive this 1 and 0, and it will try to convert back from this 1s and 0. It will try to regenerate this original signal. So as many sample as you can take, it will help you to create the original signal. Fine. Now depending upon your application, you are going to decide what is the sampling rate, as we have already discussed. Fine. Now in general, the sampling rate is completely depend upon the sampling theorem, which is being provided by the Nyquist. He is one of the renowned scientists for communication system. So as per him, the samples that need to be taken, it should be rate, the sampling rate should be the higher than twice the highest signal frequency. So whatever is your input signal frequency, the number of samples you are supposed to take, that will be higher than or greater than or equal to 2 times whatever is the frequency of the original signal. Fine. So that is what do we mean by the sampling theorem. So this is an important aspect you need to keep in mind, that sample, whatever number of sample you are taking or sampling rate needs to be higher than the twice of the highest signal frequency among the incoming signal, right? So that is the sampling rate. So this is how you can take samples in the first step. Now in the second step, you are performing the quantizing criteria. So this is the second step of quantizing, where you are going to define the sampling level. Fine. So this is how you can define the sampling level. As you can see here, I have defined all this level horizontally. So now this is what you are doing in quantizing signal. So this total number of sampling level, they are completely depends upon this equation, where you can see total number of sample level is directly equal to 2 to the power n, where n represent number of bits you want to have for each sample. Fine. So or each sample that can be represented by n number of bits, right? So this sampling rate is completely depend upon that criteria. Fine. So if I want to represent a sample with 3 bits of data, so in that case I'll be having total sample levels as L is equal to 2 to the power n, and in our case we have taken value of n as 3, so it will make total sample level as 8. Fine. And then so this is where how there will be 8 different levels you can find here. So that is the quantized signal. So this is where we are going to perform the quantized signal. Once you are having the quantized signal, you are just going to perform the encoding for that purpose. So what is encoding? Yeah, now you are going to give values to these levels, and then you are going to convert these levels into in encoding criteria. So we will see one example for that. That will be very much easier to understand at that point of time. Also, I just forgot to mention that whenever you are applying sample or sampling criteria, you are actually generating the PAM values. So PAM is nothing but the pulse amplitude modulation values, right? So we'll take one example for that purpose, so it will be very much clear now. So these are the 3 basic steps you are going to perform for transmitting analog data or for converting analog data into the digital one, and then for this digital data is need to be transmitted over the channel. Right. So now let us take one example. So here this is an input signal. Now as a first step we are going to take samples, right? So this is where I have taken samples at particular period of time, after a particular period of time. So this is my TS time, where TS is generally 1/2 of the 2 times whatever is the bandwidth of the signal. Fine. So that is how I can define TS, and after every TS second I am taking a sample. So this is my first sample. After TS amount of time I am taking second sample. This is my third sample, fourth sample, fifth sample, and likewise all the samples I have taken. So that samples, now what I am actually doing, so this is my continuous input signal. Now I am trying to convert this continuous signal into the discrete signal. So as you can see, this is my first sample. So I am creating one first PAM value at first sample. So PAM value is, as I have told you, now your analog signal is being converted into discrete signal. So you will find some value 1.1 for example. After that you are directly jumping onto 9.2. Fine. So that is how we can convert this continuous signal into the discrete form, right? So we are taking out all the PAM values at each and every sample. So here you can see this is my first sample. So my PAM value is somewhere around 1.1, that is what I have mentioned here. At the second sample I have taken PAM value as 9.2. So here you can see 9.2. Third sample is 15.2. Now we have to see this value to identify PAM values, right? So these are the PAM normalized magnitude we want to have. Then this is 15.2, that is third sample. Fourth sample is somewhere around 10.5 or 10.8. so here is your sample, so 10.8. then fifth sample we are calling it as 5.6, 2.8 and 2.7. so these are all the PAM values we can find within this. Now we need to identify what are the signal levels. So for that purpose we need to see that how many bits of data we are going to represent for each and individual this samples, right? So here we have taken value, each sample will be described with 4 bits of data. So for that purpose we need to define 16 different sample levels, right? So that is according to the equation of L, where L is equal to 2 to the power n, and we are considering n as 4 bits of data to represent a sample value, right? So here we are representing a sample value with 4 bits of data. For that purpose we need to quantize this particular total area into 16 different levels. So that is what we have shown, fine. So now I am just going to identify what will be the quantized code number. So ultimately what I am going to do, I am going to apply cell function on this PAM value, right? So if you apply cell function on all these PAM values, you will find quantized code number. So that is your step number 2, fine. And in the last one you are going to generate the PCM code. So this is what you are going to generate. This is the PCM code that you want to generate. For that purpose you need to perform the encoding. So how you are going to perform encoding? You are just going to identify what is quantized code number, and then you are going to give each and individual level some value. So now your level 0 will have 4 bits as 0, 0, 0 and 0. So these are the 4 bits. Level 1 will be described by 0, 0, 0, 1. Level 2 will be described by 0, 0, 1, 0. Level 3 will be described as 0, 0, 1, 1. Likewise you will define all the 16 layers, and last layer is going to be 1, 1, 1, 1, fine. So that is how you are going to identify. So now what you need, you just need to perform the encoding criteria. So this is my value 1. I am just simply going to write down in binary 1. So this is the encoding criteria to generate PCM code, and this whole string you are going to transmit over the digital signal. So that is it for pulse code modulation. This is one of the basic example you can understand. So now this analog signal has been converted into the PCM code, where this is the digital code you need to transmit it with the help of digital signal, fine. If you have any doubt you can definitely raise your doubt. So we are just going to continue our discussion on PAM. So by quantizing PAM pulse, original signal is only approximate. So we are just talking about this. This is what we are doing. We are just trying to approximate. We are not going to keep this accurate figures. Instead we are approximating. So here the approximation will be taken place. So 10.8 can be converted into 10. So this is how we can provide the approximation. Now this approximation is going to lead to the quantizing noise or quantizing error, fine. So quantizing error we can define in terms of signal to noise ratio in decibels. So this is what the signal to noise ratio in decibels can be defined as 6.02 times whatever is the value of n plus 1.76 dB, right? So this is the equation, or this is the way we are going to identify quantizing noise with respect to signal to noise ratio. So this is the original equation to identify this. So if you can understand, if we increase number of bits, where n is number of bits, if we increase this additional bit, it will definitely increase the SNR value, that is signal to noise ratio value, by 6 dB. And if you remember, signal to noise ratio is signal power divided by noise power. That means what do we mean by SNR is, if SNR is increasing, that means we are increasing the signal power and we are trying to reduce the noise factor from it, right? So as far as, or as long as you increase the value of n, or value of total bits you want to represent, you are actually increase the SNR value. So I hope you understand this. This is directly proportional. If I am increase n value, that is this number of bits value, if I am increasing, it will also increase my SNR value. And if I am increasing SNR value, that means I am having a quality signal. That is what the desired from the receiver side, right? But one more thing we are doing here, that whenever you are trying to increase this SNR value, you are also trying to increase the bandwidth of overall system. So this is going to cause a problem because whenever we have discussion about this bandwidth and data rate and other things, so whenever you are trying to increase the bandwidth, it will automatically increase overall cost of the system, and as a financial part of the system, we don't want to increase the cost. So that's why this particular technique is having the problem of overall costing is being increased because of data bandwidth is getting increased. So as we are taking this n number of values, or as we are taking this n bits to represent each and every you can say samples, right? So this is how the PCM is going to work out, along with what are the problems associated with PCM. That is what we have discussed. So it will actually eventually it will increase the bandwidth of the system, which is not desirable criteria, right? But still, if you are increasing bandwidth, and if you are getting some quality signal, we don't mind. So even in today's world, we are using such techniques, yeah, right? Now to overcome this bandwidth problem, we have come up with the increment in this system. So PCM has been incremented to the next technique, which is called DPCM, or differential pulse code modulation. So in that technique, let me just give you the brief about it. So actually what we are doing in that technique is, we are taking difference between the two samples, and whatever value we are generating, based on that we are going to transmit the PCM code, right? So we are just going to overcome the problem of bandwidth, right? Still we are going to transmit 4 bits of data for the difference of these two. So now instead of sending 4 bits at individual sample value, now we are taking difference between these two sample, and then we are trying to send the data, fine? So whatever it is, 4 bit, 3 bit, whatever it is, fine? But still it will be having some problem of bandwidth again, and for that purpose we have come up with the idea of delta modulation, which we are going to discuss just now, fine? So this is your delta modulation. So alright, so here is your delta modulation, fine? So basically, if you see here, a delta modulation can be, let me just open up the canvas so that it will be very much easy to understand. Alright, so even in this case, we are going to follow all those 3 steps which we have discussed in PCM. So basically we are going to perform first step as a sampling, second step is quantizing the outcome, and then we are just going to encode, fine? So basic 3 steps will follow even in this particular technique, and we are just going to go through it once. Now if you see, if you are talking about the delta modulation, so here you can see delta modulation. Alright, so let us introduce this delta modulation. Till now we have seen this PCM, pulse code modulation, where we are finding that it is going to use a huge amount of bandwidth. So we have come up with one solution of uh, DPCM technique, where we are taking differences between the two consecutive samples, and then we are producing appropriate quantized signal, right? And then we are going to encode those quantized signal, and then we are going to send it over the network with the help of digital signals, right? uh, so still we are using a huge amount of bandwidth even in this scheme. So we have come up with one more idea, that is one more technology which is known as DM, or discrete delta modulation, right? So this is a delta modulation. Let us see a brief about this delta modulation. So basically in this delta modulation we are actually generating this and encoded error signal, right? So we are just trying to generate this encoded error signal, and the fact we are using here, we are just going to use this particular thing to identify what we are supposed to do, right? So we are just going to compare two entities. Now these two entities, they are the input signal. As you can see here, we are having an input signal right here, and we are just going to see a quantized signal, right? So this is a kind of a feedback system. So basically we are just going to see what is our current input signal, and we are going to identify what is the quantized signal, and we are going to compare these two things, and we are having two different criteria for that. So let's say if your quantized signal is greater than that of your input signal, so in that case, which is this particular condition I am talking about, so this is what I am talking about. If your quantized signal is greater than your input signal, or in other words, if you want to say, if your input signal is less than your quantized signal, xt is less than x bar t, in that case you are just going to go down by this delta step. So that's why, that is what I have defined by a minus delta, right? Now what is delta? This delta is going to be the staircase function, as you can see here, right? So this is your delta value, which is a staircase function. So this is the particular condition need to be happen, where your input signal x of t should be less than or equal to less than x bar of t, which is the quantized signal. If this is the condition, then we are going to apply, or we are going to go in downward direction. So let me just draw this. So this is where you are going to go downward direction by delta step, and that I have mentioned with the help of this minus delta, right? Now second condition, so let me just take one more ink. So now here in the second case, where we are going to have input signal x of t, which is greater than that of your x bar of t, which is your quantized signal. So in that case we are going to go up, right? So this error function, encode error function, is going to be calculated with the help of this particular criteria, and this is the base of the DM technique, right? So delta modulation is going to work on in this particular technique only. So here if you are having input signal which is greater than that of your quantized signal, in that case we are going to go up by delta, and I am representing that with the help of plus delta. And again here delta is also known as a staircase function, as we have already mentioned, right? So as you can see now, we are having only two possibilities: either we are going to go upward by delta step, or we are going to go downward by delta step, right? And we are mentioning them with the help of these two criteria. So this is your plus delta, and this, the other one is your minus delta, right? So these are the two things you are going to identify and to represent. So now we are having this quantized signal. So sampling we have taken, then we have applied some quantized, so we are just going to have some sort of feedback. Now this feedback kind of thing will be very much clear when we are going to see for the block diagram of this delta modulation, right? So we are just having two different values. Either we are going to go up or we are going to go down by delta step, or we are going to go up by delta step. So we are having only two possibilities here. So both this possibility can be encoded by one bit of data, right? So in the previous case we were relying upon this n value. So now in this case, let's say you are having a sample. Let's say I'm drawing a particular, this is my input signal. So I'm taking sample at particular time. So this is my 6th sample, as you can see here. So each and every sample is going to have n bits of data representation, right? So if I'm taking n is equal to 3 here, so this particular point is going to be represented by 3 bits of data. Likewise, second sample is also going to be defined by 3 bits of data. But now in the case of delta modulation, each and every sample value is going to be defined by only 1 bit of data. So this is the advantage you need to see whenever you are using this delta modulation. So now each and every sample, if you are looking at this, so let me just draw it in this way. This again, you are going to take sample and all the things need to be taken care. So this is going to remain as the same, where you are going to apply all the 3 basic steps of modulation, right? By this, now what we are doing, at each and every sample we are just going to represent 1 bit of data. Hence we are trying to reduce the bandwidth criteria. So now if you can understand this, our goal has been achieved to reduce the bandwidth with the help of this particular DM technique, right, or delta modulation technique. So this is the basic of delta modulation. Now let us see the block diagram of delta modulation, right? So this is your block diagram, very basic block diagram. So as I have already told you, we are going to apply all the 3 different criteria over this. So this is your analog signal. So here you can see you're having an analog signal here. Let me just draw it. So this is, let's say this is going to be your analog signal which you are receiving as an input. You are passing this analog signal through a sampler, right? So here your sampling algorithms will be there. Now there are so many different technique for sampling as well. So now it's completely depend which kind of sampling we are going to use. Even in the previous case of PCM, we can have so many other kind of different techniques which are available for sampling, right? We can use any of them. So let me call this sampled output as X of NTS, fine. So this, whatever you are looking at, this is my X of NTS, which is output of this sampler, right? Whatever input signal I am sending, the output which is generated by this sampler, I am denoting it with X and T of S. And if you see, as I have told you, this is the feedback signal, right? So we are using some sort of feedback and we are calling this as a quantized signal, fine. So I am defining this quantized signal. Let me use the pen. So this is where I am getting this quantized signal as a feedback, right? I'm using some sort of integrators to integrate my signal values. So this is the feedback path and I'm receiving this particular signal. I'm calling this as X bar of NTS. So we are just sticking to our previous notations that this is my input signal, this is my quantized signal, that is X bar of T. So you can easily view that, right? So this is your Xn of T, which is input signal. This is your X bar of NTS. This is your quantized signal. Now you can say this is a comparator. So basically comparator, this is how we are going to process the comparison, right? So as you can see here, I have already defined one equation for that. So I'm just going to apply, I'm just going to get the error signal. So I have denoted error signal by E, fine, E of NTS. So E of NTS is equal to whatever is the input signal minus whatever is the quantized signal. So this is what I am going to get as an error signal, fine. Now output of this comparator will be fed to 1-bit quantizer. So now from here we are going to see these two conditions, right? So we have discussed about these two conditions. After receiving that error signal, I have already told you that error signal we are going to see, and we are going to define this two criteria on this. So either your input signal is going to be greater than that of your quantized signal, or other way around. So any of these two possibility will be there, right? So that is what you are doing here. So you have error signal here, which can be defined by this equation. Now you are going to pass this error signal through your 1-bit quantizer. So this is your quantizer, 1-bit quantizer, and you are going to pass your error signal through this 1-bit quantizer. Now depending upon the value, so whatever signal you are achieving at the end of this as an output of this 1-bit quantizer, that is going to be your quantized signal, and we are denoting that quantized signal by EQ of NTS, fine. And EQ of NTS is going to be either plus delta, so I will be going up by delta steps, or I'll be going down by delta steps. So depending upon the two values of two of these conditions. So depending upon these two conditions, either I'll be going up or I'll be going down, fine. And whatever is my quantized signal I'm receiving here, I'm simply multiplying it with the impulse train. So this is what your impulse train would look like. So this is just this is the impulse equation, you can say. This is this is the function of impulse train that we are denoting. So from here I will be getting my modulated DM signal, right? So as you can see here, I'm getting the DM modulated signal here, right? And from there we are just trying to send this quantized signal or quantized DM signal through this integrator as a feedback value, right? So we are just trying to find out at each and every sample, we are going to compare these two values, and then we are going to generate the 1-bit up or 1-bit down with the help of this 1-bit quantizer. So these are the three basic equation you can see. So x dm, so this is my final outcome. Here I'm having x t as an input, fine. So at the very beginning I'm having only x of t, and at the end of all this process we are getting x dm of t, fine. So this is x dm of t, and x dm of t can be defined by this value. So it will be is equal to EQ, which is error quantized signal. So EQ of NTS multiplied by this impulse train, which can be denoted by this function. So this is going to be the overall system. That is how it will look like, fine. So that is all about the basic block diagram of delta modulation, where we are going to apply for 1-bit quantizer. All right. So now let us go and see one example of the same. So as you can see here, I'm having one. Let me just get this one. All right. So here I have drawn. I've started from this. So I'm having one amplitude versus time plot, as you can see here. So I have defined amplitude on y-axis. I'm having time on x-axis. This is my signal, this is my message signal, fine. So this is my input signal, or in other words if you want to say, so this is going to be the input signal for me. I'm just going to draw it for your reference. So this is my input signal, fine. Now what I want to convert this input signal into the bit of ones and zeros, or stream of 1 and 0. For that purpose, what we are going to do, we are going to take this xt value. I am starting from here. You can take any of this xt value, it doesn't matter, right? So x bar of t is a quantized signal. So we just wanted to compare these two things. What is the value of input signal at particular sample? So let me just briefly identify what are the various samples I have taken in this case. So this is my first sample I have taken at TS time period. So as you can see, I'm just redrawing all these things. So this is my sample values. So after every TS second I'm taking one sample for my reference of signal. So this is how you can have all these values, right? So these are the samples after every TS second. So I have taken 8 different samples, if you can see. So so that is your first step, where you are going to pass your data from sample values. So you are going to generate X and TS. So if you remember from the block diagram, we are after sending our input signal through this sampler, we are generating this X and TS, right? And then we are going to compare this X and TS with X bar of NTS, right? So that is what we are doing, X bar of NTS. So that is what we are trying to achieve. And for that purpose, what I've done, I've started from this part. So I've initiate the value, let's say this value of X bar of T, that is your quantized signal, if it is starting from here. So for until unless I'm reaching to first sample, I'm going to stay as it is. I'm going to stay at particular voltage level. So this is going to be the amplitude, which can be denoted in voltage, and time can be denoted in seconds, right? So I'm just going to write down a second. So this is how it will look like. So for first step, so as you can see here, we are just doing some sort of staircase function. So that's why the name staircase came into the picture, right? So let's say I've started from here as a quantized signal. This has been started from here. So I'll be taking this quantized signal till I'm reaching to the first sample. So this is where I've reached. Now at this point, your xt or X bar of T is here, your input signal. So now we want to compare, if you remember. So the major idea is to compare. So here we are comparing the two different signals. So here is your xt, here is your X bar of T. Now if you can understand, xt is greater than that of your X bar of T. So in that case, what we are going to do, we are going to go up by plus delta step, if you remember. So that is what I am doing here. Let me go back and let me select this. So that is what I am doing. So after comparing these two values, I can understand that my X bar T is less than that of my original input signal. So I need to move in upward direction by delta step. That is what I have done. I'm going to stop at this delta steps, right? And again I'll be going till I'm reaching to the next sample. So that is what I'm doing here. At this point, I need to recheck what is the value of xt and X bar T. So that is what I'm checking here again. So this is your xt, this is your X bar T. Again we can identify that xt is greater than that of your X bar T. So again what we are going to do, we are going to go upward by delta step. So as you can see here, I will try to draw on this right here. So this is where I'm going to stop, because this delta value is going to be the constant value. So if you are taking, let's say, 1 voltage step, so you are going to take 1 voltage upward direction, fine. So this is your delta step values, which is going to generate this steps, right? Then once I have reached to this point, I'm going to go all the way till I'm reaching to the next you can say a sample, right? And again I'm going to compare these two values. So I'm going to compare the message signal xt with my quantized signal X bar of T, right? Now again I can find that xt and xt is greater than that of your X bar of T. So I'll be going in upward direction by delta step, and I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go into this direction, or on a particular constant voltage value. I'm going to go there till I'm reaching to the next sample value. So here again I'm going to check what is the value of xt and X bar T. So here this time around your xt is right here. So if let me just draw it for clarification. So now here is your xt and here is your X bar T. So now the condition has been flipped. So if you remember, if it is xt is less than that of X bar of T, we are going to go in downward direction. So in that case xt is less than X bar of T, so we are going to go in downward direction. So here I am going to define it with the help of some other pen, so we can understand it better. So here I have drawn with the yellow pen, fine. So all this blue indicates up, all this yellow is going to indicate we are moving into the downward direction, right? Now we are going to stop again by the same constant minus delta step. So now we are going into the downward direction. So here I am going to stop, and then I am going to continue till I am reaching to the next step. So here I have reached. Now I am going to check out with these two values. So now if you can understand, this is my green cross, that is my message signal, that is my input signal, and yellow cross is my quantized signal. So again, if you can understand, I'm applying the same criteria, and I can understand, or I can get that x bar t is greater than that of your input signal. So I need to go in the downward direction by delta step, and that is what I'm doing here. I'm continuing this process till this point. So now I've reached here. Now again I'm going to check at this point that where is my alright, so sorry, so we are going to check it right here, not the other way around, right? So this is not the one we are going to check. Alright, so here we have came down, and we have continued till for some constant value, and then here we are going to check the value of quantized signal that with our input signal. So as we can see that input signal is less than that of your quantized signal, so we are going into the down direction, right, by delta steps. We are going to continue on constant voltage value for next sample. Here you are going to check again. Now in this case you will find that this value is greater than, right? So your value of input signal is greater than that of your quantized signal. So in that case we are again moving into the upward direction. So I think now it is very much clear to you, I guess, right? So we are going up by delta, we are going to continue for constant, and then we are again going to check. So it is almost same. So it is just a bit of difference, so we are just going downward again. So let me use this yellow pen only, so it will be very much clear, right? And this is how the things are being drawn. So this is one of the example. Now this is where you have, so this is your first step where you have done all the sampling. This is the second step where you have generated the quantized signal, and with the help of this quantized signal you are trying to calculate or you are just trying to compare this original signal with the quantized signal and try to identify whether you are going in upward direction or in the downward direction. Now here comes the part of encoding. So as you can see, I have defined one encoding schema here. So as you can see here, I am defining plus delta. So whenever I am moving in plus delta direction, I am encoding that with, so I am going in up direction. Let me draw it in this way. So this is my down direction. So if I am going down, I have indicated with the yellow pen. So I am keeping that convention right here. If I am going in up direction, so for that purpose I have used the blue pen. So I am just keeping that convention. So whenever I am going in up direction, I am pretending that I am going to generate bit 1 or digital bit 1, and whenever I am going in downward direction, I am going to generate binary data 0. Fine. So that is how you can identify all these things. And so if I am going in up, I have generated 1, I am going up 1, up 1. Now here I have gone down by minus delta step, so I have written 0, 0, 0. Then again I am going in up direction 1, and then at the end 0. So now your this analog signal, your message signal, has been converted into the digital signal. So that is one of the example you can understand. Hope you like this video. If you have any doubt, you can definitely ask. We are going to have one session for doubt solving. If you want, you can definitely come and ask. Alright, so thanks for watching this videos. Hope you like this, and I'll see you in the next class. Alright, see you.